Lionel Barber, the editor of the Financial Times. Lionel's visiting Australia, talking about China and the international economic challenges we face in Europe. But one issue I wanted to discuss with Lionel, because the FT has been so successful in moving to the digital platform, is, Lionel, what's going to happen to the newspaper business? I mean, the business model of newspapers, hard copy newspapers, has really deteriorated, hasn't it? How can quality journalism survive in a world without newspapers?
I do think one needs to make a distinction between quality journalism and newspapers per se.
Right.
I like to talk about the news business, and the fact is that everybody, from the top to the bottom, is now engaged in digital journalism. Journalism which appears on multiple platforms, PCs, mobile phones, and print is one aspect. Now, it's an important one because still, as you say, print journalism is sustained by advertising, and if the advertising base is either falling off through deep recession or through structural changes in the industry is migrating to the web, then print is under systemic threat. The way to attack this, I think, is to be very clear about where you stand in the market. Where you don't want to be is in the muddled middle. You want to be clear about what you focus on, where you've got comparative advantage. And for the Financial Times, that's clearly to be a global publication, global news, finance, business and politics. And I think also there's a place for tabloids with a strong brand. Remember, Daily Mail, for example, is doing very, very well.
Yes.
Free content, but huge audience, not just in Britain, but also in America. They've got a strong brand and they've got a very clear base. It's a bit, entertainment-based. Hello Magazine meets the Daily Mail, but it's successful.
Yeah, not quality journalism in the sense of the FT, I guess.
Well, there's always got to be a place, I think, for popular journalism.
Sure,
and if
sure.
You talk about,
I'm being facetious. I'm not suggesting it's any less quality than yours, but it's different. It's more entertainment.
We're all Democrats now here. I think it's very important, I think, that we have a bit of a raucous tabloid news business in a democracy.
What I mean by quality journalism is not sort of necessarily highbrow journalism, because I think arguably there'll always be people who will be prepared to pay for that, smaller audiences, but albeit. But what I'm more concerned about is the business of reporting, of actual news gathering, which takes time. You've got, how many bureaus around the world do you have? Well,
we've got more than 100 foreign correspondents around the world, 40, 50 bureaus. It's big. We're pretty unique in that, alongside maybe the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. But when you talk about reporting, this is I think, where you've touched on a very important point. What happens if the news business is not covering local government, the courts? This is where I think the problems in the regional press in Britain and elsewhere, particularly in the United States, this is worrying, and if there's that gap, I think that's very bad for a thriving democracy.
Well, this is the paper Stephen Waldman's done with the FCC, or for the FCC, on this very issue, what price democracy, when there are no longer any or many, if not any, reporters covering the town council, the state legislature, the education board, all of these important agencies of government, which, if there are no reporters there, how is anybody going to know if things are being mishandled? And that's, I think, that's one of the challenge. That's what I think. We've got a press inquiry going on here at the moment, which is obviously a political slap, an attempt by Julia Gillard to have a slap at News Limited. But